trying to get everybody in alignment to get started here. Yeah, you come on. Everybody ready? Good afternoon. I just want to first thank everybody for coming to this press conference, and also thank all of the many residents across the city of St. Louis that weighed in on Board Bill number 2. I want to thank the religious organizations that came forward, that gave information. I want to thank the small businesses and nonprofits, all of which weighed in on Board Bill number 2. I want to thank the members of the Board of Aldermen who have just worked so tirelessly to put a good board bill before the Board of E&A. If you did not get an opportunity to see it, a good video to watch is the 12-hour marathon meeting that we had today. We took up all the amendments for Board Bill number 2. So how did we get here today? This journey started roughly the second week of June, when the mayor sent over her requests for items to be included for the first round of COVID relief funding. The board began deliberating on those items, and we've made a commitment to get a board bill before the Board of E&A and through the Board of Aldermen by the 16th of July, which we met. We were able to get the board bill passed, a $168 million bill that took into account many issues across the city of St. Louis, and we were able to get that board bill before the Board of E&A. For the last couple of weeks, that board bill has just laid over at the Board of E&A, while the members of the Board of Aldermen have continued to wait for it to come out of the board. That board bill was voted on 27-1. One of the largest majorities that I've seen of any board bill of its type and its magnitude across my entire history of the city of St. Louis, and I've been an alderman since 1999. And I've talked to some aldermen who have been around, even who had served and still living around the city of St. Louis, and they have not seen anything of that nature either. Again, 27-1 vote of the Board of Aldermen. So we are pushing to try to get the Board of E&A to take up Board Bill number 2 and to vote it out of the Board of E&A. Board Bill number 2 is a legal board bill. You're going to hear from our attorney today, Elkin Kishner, who has taken a look at all of the different components of Board Bill number 2, the state and the federal law, and all of the rules concerning ARPA, and he has an opinion that he will cover with you very shortly. But before I get to that, I want to just introduce some of the aldermen that are here with us today. We have the chairman of Ways and Means, Marlene Davis, who's here with us today. Ways and Means is the committee that handles all of the city's financial bills, including, the city's budget and so on and so forth. We have the chairman of Public Safety, Joe Vaccaro, with us today. In Board Bill number 2, we put in there $5 million to restore the funding in our police department. We also have with us our majority floor leader, Joe Vollmer, here with us today, and the chairman of our Neighborhood Development Committee, Carol Howard, here with us also. Those committees are very important committees moving forward on a bill like this, because all of those committees will handle issues and handle projects and investments in neighborhoods and throughout our communities across the city of St. Louis, which is why these aldermen chose to join us here today. Elkin Kishner formed his law firm, his first law firm, Kishner, Hamilton, Elam and Martin, LLC. He has over 35 years experience in practice in local government, law, handling federal and state court trials and appeals. He is well-versed in a wide array of political subdivisions, legal issues, and appeared in numerous times before the Missouri Supreme Court, the United States Court of Appeals, the Eighth Circuit Court, and a variety of other courts of appeals. In addition to serving his many business and organizational clients, and also a former city councilor with the city of St. Louis, he currently serves as the town attorney for the town of West Sullivan, Missouri, the village attorney for the village of Oak Grove, Missouri. Mr. Kishner also serves as a special counsel on many political subdivisions, including the city of Wildwood, the city of Creve Coeur, and St. Louis County. He holds an AV peer review rating from Martindale Hubble?
Yes.
Which is the highest rating that can be attained by an attorney. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Kishner to the mic.
Thank you. So I've been asked to give you just a brief overview of the opinion letter that I gave yesterday to President Reed. President Reed, thank you very much for that introduction. This controversy actually is, I think, with respect to any attorney who's been doing local government law for any length of time, really quite simple. The American Rescue Plan Act is actually completely consistent with general law in Missouri concerning what an appropriation is. Board Bill number 2 is completely lawful. This legal framework is that, generally speaking, under Missouri law, and certainly the way the Board of Aldermen, the city of St. Louis generally, has approached appropriation ordinances consistent with its charter, is that you have the legislative body enacting an ordinance that creates general authority for, typically it would be the executive branch, but various departments within the city to spend monies within broad categories that are defined fairly generally in the particular legislation. It then is incumbent upon those departments to exercise discretion they have as to how they are going to spend those funds within the framework of the broad categories set forth in the appropriation legislation, but they make the discretionary determination as to what particular project, what particular third-party contractor to hire to implement the authority that they were given in the appropriation ordinance to spend public monies within these categories. That is exactly what Board Bill 2 does. And we believe that if you take a look at the text of ARPA and the United States Department of Treasury implementing guidelines, that syncs exactly with Missouri law, the city of St. Louis law, as to this legal relationship between an appropriation ordinance and then the spending that is typically done by the departments of the city of St. Louis. You have the broad category defined as to what can be done, and then where the rubber hits the road in terms of where the dollars actually go is the responsibility of the departments that have been given discretion as to how they're going to spend within those broad categories. Thus, when you take a look at ARPA and the implementing guidelines, they don't focus on the legislation that authorizes spending. They talk universally about how the money can be spent. So literally what we have here is a controversy with no legal merit to it. We think that Board Bill number 2 follows Missouri law, it follows City of St. Louis law. ARPA and the implementing guidelines actually track that law, because what the focus should be on is how are these Recovery Act dollars actually being spent. If the focus were on the broad categories, then the purpose of the federal legislation and its implementing guidelines could be frustrated entirely. So We believe that this legislation is completely valid. We think any attack upon it as supposedly being illegal has no merit whatsoever. We point out in my opinion letter that this is the very same opinion that the city councilor's office has rendered through interim city councilor Matt Moak. You can take a look at the memorandum that he issued on it. You can take a look at the July 16th, 2021 appearance he made before the Board of Estimate and Apportionment. And he literally said at that appearance that this is valid, lawful legislation. Now, there's no question that somebody could quibble and say, I would take Board Bill number 2 and write it differently. I would put greater specificity in it. But I will tell you what that is. A, it's a matter of style, not legality. And B, Board Bill number 2 tracks the model typical in City of St. Louis appropriation ordinances. Further, Reuben Brown, which was hired by the City of St. Louis to help it, which is a major accounting firm with expertise in this area, via an email written by Ted Williamson. I think I put July 1st, 2021 in the opinion letter. It's actually July 15th, 2021. He effectively agreed with interim city councilor Matt Moak and what we have to say. So in short, this is valid legislation. Any effort to portray it as being in violation of ARPA or the implementing guidelines is completely inaccurate and unfounded.
You know, so our next step is to send a letter to the Board of E&A to request a meeting before the Board of E&A next Wednesday to vote out Board Bill number 2. I will also work with my other members of the board to call a full board meeting on Thursday so that the Board of Aldermen can third read and finally pass the board bill. I will sign it and I will send it directly to the mayor's office, directly for her signature. So by next Friday at the latest, this $168 million that are sitting here that is needed throughout communities all across the city of St. Louis can go out and begin to help people recover from what they've been affected by due to COVID. So I'm urging the other members of the Board of E&A, we now have checked the final box. We met the July 16th date like we said we were going to meet. We put a legal, lawful bill before all of you. We have worked to put amendments in the bill through a marathon meeting, a 12-hour marathon meeting with absolutely no break straight through these members of the board. That's how hard they work to assure that they can get this funding out to the people of the city of St. Louis. So now we're asking Board of E&A to do their part. We're asking Board of E&A to join us in moving forward with Board Bill number 2. Look, this should be a great day for the city. And the other members of the Board of E&A should be very, very happy and very, very pleased that we now checked that final box so that now they can vote in confidence with not just the attorney, Mr. Elkin, with his review, but with every other attorney that's looked at this, including Matt Moak, the city councilor, who said that it was a legal bill. So we're asking the Board of E&A to join me and the other members of the Board of Aldermen to move forward with Board Bill number 2. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions. Yes.
You're right. Let's say you're right. But what's the big deal about changing a few words? If that's all they want. And I mean, will that make it illegal?
I don't, here's the words, the reason why we're not going to change a few words, changing a few words would mean removing $33 million out of North St. Louis, the community that has been just totally left behind for all these years, and allowing the Delmar divide to stand. The other reason we're not going to do it is because President Biden himself said these funds should be used, especially in areas that have had low economic standing with high levels of concentrated poverty, to address those issues directly within those communities, because those communities will take a lot longer to recover. So the words that they want to remove from the bill, where they want to remove North St. Louis from the bill, we're not going to do that. We have a good bill in good standing that 27 members of the Board of Aldermen voted to support. It's easier for 3-member Board of E&A in a 5-minute meeting to vote on the bill, for me to call the whole board back in for several meetings to bring the bill back to perfection, perfect it, and get back into reviewing it again. We're not doing that. So the bill stands. It's a good bill, and I hope the other members of the Board of E&A join me. Yeah.
Am I reading the First Amendment wrong? Because I think it says it's like $50 million, and 80% of which must be spent in qualified census tracts north of Del Mar.
Yeah, but when you look at the census tracts that we're talking about north of Page, right? In those census tracts, in these targeted areas are the areas that we want those funds to be spent in. And when you take a look at the 80% number of the $50 million, we end up actually with less dollars going into those areas than we would under the current proposal. What'd you say now? No, but when you look at the entire, we've looked at it several times, and that proposal is substandard to the proposal we're talking about here. And the other thing that the current proposal does, it has safety measures in place so that we can assure that these funds actually get spent in those areas. And here's my question: if the mayor supports putting the money into North St. Louis, why not vote on the proposal that's before her? Ask her that question. If she supports the 30, if she's ready to spend 40, why wouldn't she be ready to spend 33? Ask her that question.
Have you met with Mayor Jones since the last Board of Enforcement meeting?
I couldn't hear you. What's that?
Have you met with Mayor Jones since the last meeting?
No, we can't. No, because of the Board of E&A, if Mayor Jones and I meet and talk about an item that's before the Board of E&A, we're in violation of Sunshine Law. We can't do that. I know she asked me to have a private meeting with her about that. I told her that would be unlawful, so I would not do that. Yeah.
So what do you think about her chipping away $3 million through executive action? And do you think that she doesn't want the BOA to spend this money, that she wants to do it herself through executive action?
I think you answered that. I think you answered that perfectly, which is why they took the unusual measure that they took when the mask mandate was issued. If you want to issue a mask mandate, issue a mask mandate. Don't issue a mask mandate and lay out a framework to begin to try to chip away at the spending of these federal funds. It is not the way to operate.
Does the city constitution, I'm not an expert at it, but does the city constitution, it does lay out what you guys are doing. The mayor obviously wants to control the spending, but in your opinion, this is the right way to go?
Oh, absolutely. Again, the board, this is not our first time. This is not our first time at this type of funding. We just did $140 some odd million under the previous mayor, Mayor Lyda Cruz, and you didn't see any of this. Not any of this stuff that you see now on 140 some odd million. You didn't see any of it. Guess what? The exact same kind of board bill, most of the people that have deliberated on it, certainly the senior level aldermen, are the same senior level aldermen. The attorneys within the Board of Aldermen that reviewed it are the same attorneys. And guess what? Those funds were spent in compliance, and it was done appropriately. So this whole thing is a ruse. You'd have to ask her that question. I have no idea about the motivation. All I know is that her attorney says that the board bill is a legally compliant board bill. You now have heard from another outside attorney the same thing. And any attorney you take it to, you're going to hear the same thing. So it's a 5-minute meeting that can take place before the Board of E&A. And at that 5-minute meeting, they can do a roll call, and then right after the roll call, they vote on Board Bill number 2. The next day, or even later that day, we can bring the Board of Aldermen back into session, and we will vote on it at the Board of Aldermen and move this bill. This money is important to get out to the residents of the city of St. Louis. And we need to move on this and act on this right now, as soon as possible, to get these funds out to the city of St. Louis residents. The other thing to note is that we don't have 15, 20 years to spend these funds. It's a limited time frame that we have to spend these funds. And this is the first appropriations bill. We now have Board Bill number 82 sitting before the Board of Aldermen that we want to get to work on, but we're still waiting for Board Bill number 2 to move. We could have been working on Board Bill number 82 already. Yeah.
What happens if they meet, they don't have a vote, and then what happens to the bill then?
It continues to sit at the Board of ENA, and I think at that point, residents of the city of St. Louis should be completely outraged. But I can't imagine a situation like that. I've never seen anything like this before, ever, where we have a good board bill, a board bill that was voted on 27-1, a board bill that all types of work went into it, and it is sitting at the Board of ENA. It's the most outrageous thing I've ever seen.
What's your plan if the mayor doesn't want to move the board bill forward?
What, excuse me? I'm sorry.
What's your plan if the mayor doesn't want to move the board bill forward?
We will investigate every legal option available to us as the legislative branch of government to assure that happens. But look, the way I'm looking at it, I think this is a great day for the city. We now have checked their final box, but the box has actually been checked twice. Their attorney has said the same thing that this outside attorney has just said, but this outside attorney has given more specificity. So it's a great day for the city of St. Louis. We're calling on the mayor, the comptroller to join me next Wednesday at our ENA meeting and take 5 minutes out. All we're asking them for is 5 minutes out of their schedule to get $168 million out to the residents of the city of St. Louis. That 5 minutes will allow the Board of Aldermen to come back into session and to third read and finally pass this bill that has had an ungodly amount of hours of people, not just elected officials, but residents throughout the city weighing in on. That will allow that board bill to finally move. The other thing that it does, it allows us to begin moving on Board Bill 82, the second round of funding. We have $500 million, and the reason we have $500 million is that they use the block grant funding to determine how much money cities get. Block grant funding is based on concentrated poverty, areas of disinvestment, areas where you have people who are underemployed or unemployed. That formula is the formula that allowed the city of St. Louis to get $500 million. And we're debating on whether $33 million of that $500 million should be targeted to the residents of North St. Louis and the communities that have been left behind, creating a Delmar divide that has been covered not just from places across the country, but internationally, put us in the papers for being a racially divided city. We have an opportunity to change that, which is why I'm so proud of the members of the Board of Aldermen that have worked so hard, and the residents across the city of St. Louis that have worked so hard and put so much into Board Bill number 2. So we're asking for 5 minutes on Wednesday, next Wednesday, and we're asking the mayor to support Board Bill number 2 because we have finally checked that last box, the same box that her own attorney checked prior to today. I'd rather, again, thanks for underscoring that, you caught it. Yeah, I am being very polite because I think it's what we need to do right now, right? We need to encourage people to come together and get past whatever differences, which is why I was so proud of members of the Board of Aldermen when they voted 27-1 in a consolidated bill of $168 million. That's a tough measure to get to. And which is why today I'm saying it's a great day for the city of St. Louis. We checked the last box, and I'm, with everything in me, I'm encouraging the other members of the Board of ENA to join me and the rest of the members of the Board of Aldermen, people from throughout the city of St. Louis, to move this package. It's not that complicated.
We have all that, but is there a
I'm not. Yeah. Here's what I'd say to that. I'd say we will, if this thing doesn't move now, we will not give up. We will exhaust every option available through the legislative branch of government to assure that this money gets out to the people of the city of St. Louis. This is an emergency, and we need to get the funding out and stop piecemealing it, start coming up with ways to get around it. I mean, this is not the way to operate. So let's just get this thing done. I'm asking the mayor and the comptroller to meet me next Wednesday at a time that's appropriate to them. It could be 2 o'clock in the morning. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning. It could be 9, 10 o'clock at night. It doesn't matter to me. I'll be there at whatever time. It's a 5-minute meeting. So join me for that 5-minute meeting to move Board Bill number 2 and get $168 million out to residents of the city of St. Louis. Thank you so much for your time.